and just kind of take a glance ahead at some of these high cap hits that are coming up for the 2026 season. People are going, Clayton, it's 2025. Why do I care about 2026? Because this is what's going to steer the roster in a specific direction. When you got these high cap hits, you're going to look at, okay, how do we get that cap number down? Or do we just move on from said player, right? So here are the highest cap hits as it sits right now for the 2026 active roster, okay? 36.1 million cap hit, Jordan Love, all right? Now, keep in mind, we just talked about quarterback contracts, right? And you see how Jordan Love's number on there was 55, right?
Right.
55 million. This is what we're talking about with allocation, all right? Last year, it was 26 or 27 million was his cap hit.
Yep.
I don't expect this cap hit to ever exceed 50 million, me personally. If it does, it's going to be 3 years down the road, and by then they'll probably adjust and have that cap number drop. Nonetheless, 36.1, he leads the way. Second is Kenny Clark at 31.3 million. Look at the age. He's 31 years old. Guys, that's an old 31 too, because he came in the league very, very young. Now, what I want you to key in on with Kenny here is the dead cap. All right. So if you look at the dead cap attached next year, it's $17 million. So what you're talking about is a cap hit of what? 31 million. I'll do the quick math here on the old calculator. I should know that, but I'm getting old here. All right. Minus 17. So you're looking at freeing up $14 million roughly, if my math is correct there, if you just cut him out right next year in Kenny Clark. So that's where you've got to make the decision. All right, we're definitely bringing that number down, and the majority of his guaranteed money is gone, or else that dead cap number would be significantly higher. So you got to ask yourself, do you want to keep Kenny around? If so, then you need to go to the base salary and try to manipulate the cap a little bit, convert some salary to signing bonus, kick it on down the road with some voidable years, that type of thing. Me personally, I'm leaning toward, this is why I wanted a 3-tech in this year's draft. Doesn't mean you reach for them, but this is what we were talking about is go get that 3-tech of the future. Go get another interior defensive tackle that can play alongside Devontae Wyatt in that nickel 4-2-5. And that way you're kind of prepared for if you have to step away from Kenny Clark next year. So what do you guys think about Kenny's number? Jacob, I'll start with you here, man, unless you're busy there. 31.3, I think we'd all agree. That's too high of a cap number for Kenny next year, right?
Yeah, that's irrationally horrible. When you look at that grouping there, 10% of the Packers salary cap is going to be going to Kenneth Clark. I don't agree with that. I don't believe that we're even going to get near that situation there. And to be honest, I mean, it is tough when you look at that. That's a weird ranking there. Jordan Love, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Jair, and Aaron Banks. And then you see the guy right below him there, Mr. Elton Jenkins. You maybe understand, and I think it's been released a little bit that that's probably why he's a little bit ornery, if I had to say, or a little bit maybe disgruntled, frazzled, dare I say, I kind of understand it, but I see both sides of that argument. But specifically with Kenny Clark, no, I don't think that, I don't want to bash a guy that's on the Packers who I actually do respect and who I thought gave us a lot of decent playing time. It's just at this point, and I was very surprised that he's even getting through this year, because that's a lot of money for a guy that just has not. I mean, that at one point that's like Aaron Donald money. You know what I mean? Like he's up there in that criteria, Chris Jones type money, but he's not playing anywhere near those guys. I mean, he's not playing near their backups.
Right. That's true. And that's it, right? I think Goody was trying to get ahead of the curve there when, when he got that extension, you try to jump ahead of it, get him before he hits 30, before he hits that plateau, whatever it is. He kind of hit it maybe a little bit sooner. We're asking him to do different things. But yeah, being 31 million, that's kind of tough. I love that there's only 2 people over 10%, instead of having 3, 4, 5 guys over 10% of the cap. That's really nice that it's only 2, and one of them being your star quarterback. But I think you reel that in a little bit. Everyone's kind of getting a fair cut of the pie, keeping them under there. And I think that's going to help us kind of grow in the future. But you think where Rashawn is, and even Ja's number might get reworked here. So we're looking at his 8% now, and that could even be further down. It's going to be crazy if it's, Jordan Love, Rashawn Gary, Aaron Banks. So I think Elton's going to probably come up to that 10%. I think that, Ja might come down a little bit, probably around 6 or 5, right in there between X and Josh. and then we could probably go from there. Just sort of once they work them a little.
Honestly, Emilio, even though Elton's going to be getting more guaranteed money if they do rework that deal, I think his cap number is going to go down significantly.
Of the percentage of it?
Yeah. So he'll, think about it. I mean, unless they're way, way, way under on the cap, which that's going to manipulate the percentage in which he would fall, everyone would fall on the roster. Right. I think Elton's number is probably going to come down to, if they rework a deal for next year, somewhere around 17, 18 million, something like that. No more than 20. So that would drop him down a touch.
Right.
Aaron Banks's will probably stay about the same. They may restructure from a sense of converting base salary to signing bonus and kicking it down the road a little. I could see that. But when you're looking at our cap ranking next year, we're 26 in the league with only 1.6 million in cap space. We kind of talked about that the other night. But you can free that up. I mean, my goodness. Kenny Clark can be cut and you free up, whatever it is. Well, we said 14 million. Right. If Jair Alexander isn't here next year, and they may tear up this final year of the contract too, that could happen with the reworking of the deal, right? They could say, hey, let's make this year more incentive based. We'll knock next year's year off of it. That way you're free to move on. We'll just have kind of a one and done here this year. We part as friends type thing. So you see in many, many different scenarios where you can free up that cap space. Like Xavier McKinney, that cap hit a 19.1. They're not going to cut him, of course, but they'll probably do some kind of restructure, right, to where they can free up a little cap space there if they need to do that as well. So the other thing, too, is Devontae Wyatt's sitting at that 12.9, right? I'm not ruling out, personally, that they don't create some kind of extension, and next year that number is different. Now, it may be a little higher, it may be a little lower, but that 12.9 is that fifth-year option that's fully guaranteed, right? And they can also tack on voidable years. That's another way they can free it up. Let's say they don't extend Devontae Wyatt and he's just going to play on the fifth-year option. They can tack on 2 or 3 voidable years and spread that out over 3 years, and that reduces. You could probably free up $8 million in cap space if you wanted to right there. So when we talk about them having minimal cap space next year, it's not going, oh man, we got to cut a bunch of players, we're in trouble. No, there's time to free that money up and be very creative. Russ Ball to be creative and free up that cap space. So now the question is, though, do you want some of these guys on your roster? And I see in the chat, I think everybody would pretty much agree. I haven't seen anybody in the chat say Kenny's worth the money, right? And I don't mean to be mean here, and I'm with Jacob. Like you're not going to find a better person. You're not going to find a better leader. He's a locker room leader. That's what, again, those glue guys. And I know Kenny has not played that well the last few years. You guys know I was very vocal. I did not want them to extend him, but we just got through having a conversation of lack of leadership on the team, right? And culture.
That's true.
So here we are again, right? I think that had more to do with that than it did necessarily his play on the field, although he did play hurt last year. And I think he was playing a lot of touch spy, trying to free up Devontae Wyatt to get one-on-one situations as well. So there's just a lot of factors that come into it, but just wanted to take kind of a glance ahead. And again, the one who caught the most seats probably Rashawn Gary. And, his cap hit next year jumps to $28 million. However, look at the dead cap. You could cut him and free up $11 million in cap space. You see what I'm saying? So the way that's loaded, I don't think they'll do that because Gary led the team in sacks. He led the team in pressures. He led the team in run stops in terms of the defensive line / edge defenders. So I would say there's a little restructure there as well. There's plenty of maneuvering that can take place here with the Caps.
And the reason why everybody gets their contracts is because they obviously have to project. We're projecting with the draft on what they're going to be. They're projecting, hey, is this going to keep going? Are they going to keep getting better? At some point, you need to keep talent that you homegrown. I mean, 3 contract here in Green Bay. I almost want to just retire a Packer and call it a day. But if he wants to go on elsewhere and get his money, that's totally fine. But I think work that number a little bit, get it back down under control, and we should be in good shape.
Well, and it sucks too because, like Stacy says here, as much as she loves Kenny and thinks that it's too high of a contract, even the greatest of the greats, just people forget the Patriots just basically shoved Tom Brady down to Tampa, and we're like, good riddance. Thanks for all you did for us.
Right.
Have fun. And the guy went on to win. You know what I'm saying? Most people aren't built like that, right? The Packers have made, like Emilio just said, they're in the game of projecting. They're in the game of seeing what's our books, what's our team, what's everything going to look like 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. And like Clayton said too, Russ Ball is going to have to mold that ball of clay. See what I did there? God, that was good.
Man, that was
And
really
it's double entendre. And he's going to have to, see what comes out the other side. And there's a lot of guys on here, like I would argue the Banks, the Hobbs, even guys like Keyshawn, a lot of guys that like Clay mentioned next year could look way different if they don't perform.
Yep. No, it's a great point. Chris in the chat said Kenny is possibly a Packers Hall of Famer to me, but I still can't believe Goot did that massive deal. OMG. I think that's very fairly put, Chris. I do. I think he could be a Packer Hall of Famer as well. And I agree, man. It just seems like a bad deal. Now, who would we have replaced him with, right? I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, Carl Brooks or TJ Slayton or anybody like that would have played significantly better than Kenny, and you lose the leadership. So that kind of comes into play as well. I don't want to say it's a sensitive topic, but it is something that general managers have to kind of navigate through, in terms of building a roster and building one that kind of, I don't know, stay cohesive. But I will say this, I think 2-0 for this is onto something here. He says, just hire Matt Ramage as an equipment manager. You'll have all the leadership you need. There you go. Very well said. Which, by the way, we had that video teed up of Matt Ramage last night. We didn't get to it. I messaged him, said, Matt, can we share that video? You calling in sick to work, drunk at Lambeau? And he went, absolutely. Yeah. He's all about it. But anyway, anything else you guys want to hit on here with the salary cap? Y'all want to go back to 25? You want to go forward, or are we good there?
Yeah. Take me to 27.
27.
Project it for me real quick.
So Jordan Love's number jumps to $42.4 million.
Not bad. Yeah. Not bad at all.
That's right, and we still haven't sniffed the 50 million mark. You see what I'm saying? And look at the dead cap. We're now getting into the portion of Jordan's contract where the dead cap's $31.7 million. Now you don't want to eat a $31.7 million dead cap penalty, right? However, if he isn't the guy, you move on, you free up $11 million. You may have, I don't even want to have this conversation, but we'll do it just for the sake of it's off season.
How dare you?
Yeah, exactly. Let's say Jordan Love this year takes a step back, right? And Goody going into the offseason goes, I don't know if he's our guy. We got to try to find the next great franchise quarterback. Then you dive into this year's draft and you try to find that quarterback, and then you have Jordan start another year, and maybe Jordan, boom, he blows up and he's an MVP candidate. All right, great. You got two good quarterbacks on your roster. That's a hell of a problem to have. And one's on a rookie deal, right? However, if he continues to take a step back, you cut bait. You've got a young quarterback on a rookie contract to step in and assume the role of starting quarterback. You freed up $11 million in space, and you're on to trying to find the right guy. Because the ultimate goal is finding the right guy. I think Jordan is the dude. I want to be very, very clear. I'm just simply saying, when we seen that contract drop, how many people were like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is too much. Yeah, exactly. So it's something that I think Goody handled it perfect, man. I really do. So in that regard, any other people you want to see here? I know Gary's jumps to 31, but look at this. Only 8.5 million in dead cap. You can get out of that in a blink.
Yeah. Right. Just real quick, I think Prince puts a good cap on all of these talks, which is he says if they had not re-signed Kenny, people would be complaining about the lack of respect the Packers show to their veterans.
Very true.
100%.
Especially a young one that's been with the team for 10 years, basically.
One of their own, right? Yeah. Homegrown type. Yeah. That's a great point, Brent. Great point. All right. Anything else, Emilio? You want to see any other numbers here? You good?
No, I just love, the fact that we're so spread out on low numbers, percentage of cap wise, is unbelievable. Like looking at that entire roster is basically just our past two drafts, and then crazy. Like a couple of guys that we paid. And so like that kind of goes back to that other thing we looked at a couple of days ago, where you're going back over the drafts, and obviously you're going to get cuts or red X's not on the team anymore. But it's because you found the winners in that draft, you kept them, you move forward. You can't keep looking back, and I think that. You give them all a chance. You gave Stokes a chance. You gave Savage, whoever it is that you gave a chance to. You gave it your all. All right, move on, because we have to open up a spot for these new guys, and I'm excited about all of them.
Yeah, and again, when we talk about positions of importance, tier 1, tier 2, all those things, Jordan Love, quarterback, tier 1. Rashawn Gary, edge, tier 1. Kenny Clark, defensive tackle, tier 1. You see what I'm saying? Like, follow the checkbook.
Top tier 2.
Yep,
Yes,
there you go.
that is 100% true. But like to Emilio's point, if you just get past about Josh Jacobs and Nate Hobbs, you hit your Brandon McManus because the talent after that is so spread out. I mean, can you scroll down? I mean, look at who's there: Matthew Golden, Jordan Morgan, Edgerrin Cooper,
the bargain. Oh my God,
Bullard, Jair, kind of Marshawn Hopper, who knows Savion, Evan Williams-Barrett. I mean, that's the future. We have the future right there, and these guys are making just a little bit more than I do. You know.
Unbelievable.
I mean, after a good night.
There's your salary cap talk. All right. For those of you listening on the pod, that's going to do it for our